So you loved Sting as a kid when you were going to dad's
Oh no,
show?
it was just the blonde hair, the face paint. Like, I don't know if he'd be like he's great. I don't know if he'd be like my top 10. But like, as a young girl, it was like, oh, Sting.
He was a cutie.
Yeah.
Now, who is like... I did go do the Lucha Libres over in Mexico, and I learned the one... What's the move I did where I run and I grab them?
Did you have a mask on?
Yeah, full.
It's back.
Oh, a
it's
head
back
scissor?
here.
Right there. I did a head scissor.
There you go.
We did head... There's my mask right there. I was called the La
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
La Ardilla, the squirrel.
La Radilla. The squirrel?
The squirrel. But no, it was fun. We
Oh
went up.
my gosh.
It was a fun. We got some really good moves in
Yeah, it was
in
fun.
one day of training.
Dola was slightly
Quick
better.
learner.
Yeah, it's
baby.
just the
Well,
mannerisms that you
kind
put
of gave his body
between.
up.
Dola gave his
I was like still worrying about having to
Your
go
knees.
Out. Yeah, and
Ironically,
I
ACL.
tore my knee right after
like
that.
a couple months later.
Not in
I'm not doing this now.
Okay, I
Thank
was
God.
like,
Doing a preseason game in Detroit.
Freaking
on
Detroit.
that terrible fucking field. I mean, can we get lawsuits here?
It's an anti-turf podcast.
It's anti-turf. We're a grass
We like
podcast.
real grass.
We are a grass
Real
podcast.
grass.
So you mentioned earlier you were never really a fan of wrestling growing up. So what were you a fan of? What was a young Ashley a fan of when her dad's Ric Flair? What are you a fan of when
I
you
was
were
just
a kid?
a fan of going to the shows.
You were a fan of the
being
show?
like, oh man, that's my dad.
Yeah.
Like hearing his music would give me butterflies. Or I was like, oh my gosh, Sting. Yeah.
Sharpshooter?
Or like, I took Macho Man to show and tell. In kindergarten.
You took
my
Macho
God.
Man to show and tell?
Well, they were in town,
Please
and my dad.
explain this.
So they were in town. I don't know if it was for a show or a promotion. And my dad brought him by Providence Day, where I went to elementary school. He was just like walking down in his Zubas. You know those?
Yeah.
My dad and him. Like, yeah, but I was so young. Like, I just remember like glimpses, like the side he walked down in the cafeteria.
What were the kids saying? That's
I'm
Macho
sure-
Man Randy Savage.
I don't know if they even knew who he was because we
No,
were
they-
so young.
Man, that's
You're
so
not a cool kid if you don't know Macho
yeah.
Man at that age.
We
Come on.
we
Just handing out Slim
literally.
You know, but
Jims.
like 6
Yeah,
years
that's
old, you think?
Slim Jims for everybody.
Oh,
Come
you
on, man.
got
Was he
to.
just?
You
Yeah.
got
What was he
to.
giving out? Slim Jims?
No, just there.
He was just there.
What did he show?
What a
Or was
guy.
he the thing that you were showing?
He's the show.
Yeah,
He is the
always.
show.
He's the show.
In every
Yeah.
room he walks in.
But I did bring my dad's big gold belt one time for show and
Heck
tell, and that
yes.
was cool. But like even growing up, I didn't really realize what these things were,
Yeah.
or what he meant to the industry. My dad,
Yeah.
because I just was around it so much. Like,
It becomes normal.
yeah,
You don't realize the
like Arn
severity.
Anderson was my uncle, not real, but it just
Legend.
You know, it's kind of like my daughter. She gets, she grew up going to our training camps. We're winning Super
Exactly.
Bowls. You know, Tom's holding her, Tom Brady, the greatest football player. She has no clue. And all she talks about is Taylor Swift and the goddamn Chiefs.
that's great.
You know?
That's great.
There's gonna be a time maybe one day though, she's gonna realize it like Ash did here.
Man, I still can't get over Macho Man coming to show and tell. That is so cool.
These two were doing
But
Macho Man
it
impression
wasn't
once
actually
an
show
episode.
and tell
Yes.
day. He was just like, I have show and tell today. Like, here he is. Like, here's Macho Man.
Yeah,
Who
right.
was some of your? So you loved Sting as a kid when you were going to
I
dad's
don't know.
show.
It was just the blonde hair, the face paint. Like, I don't know if he'd be like he's great. I don't know if he'd be like my top 10. But like, as a young girl, it was like, oh, Sting.
He was a cutie.
Yeah.
Now, who was like? Was he the one that like? Who was the other wrestlers that like you were like?
Well,
Oh my
here's
god!
I did not like wrestling. I just didn't know anything about it. Like, I didn't tune in every week. Like, middle school, it was like, oh my God, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is going to be on. Not like, oh man, I can't wait for Monday Night Nitro. Like, it was.
I mean, I was a little boy at that time, so I loved the Raw.
I mean, I tuned in, but I just like wasn't a diehard fan because it was hard to relate to the women at the time. Like, they're in bikinis,
Yeah,
Right.
putting whipped cream on. Like,
it wasn't
oh,
there
this is
yet.
what I want to aspire to
Yeah,
be.
they weren't for you. They were for us.
Yeah, the eye candy. So, I mean, I looked up to Stacy and Trish and Lita, but it wasn't, or Molly Holly, but I couldn't see myself doing that.
When did you
or
see
feeling
yourself?
like a diva. Like, even when I started wrestling, I was like, what am I doing? Like, why did I do this? But really, it was for my little brother to help him get on the right path. Because now my brothers, they wanted to be just like my dad.
Yeah.
My little brother and I were almost 2 years apart, and he had a really bad drug addiction.
Yeah.
So I thought if I started doing this, he could get on the right path. And he ended up dying almost a year after I started. And then I just took his dream and turned it into mine. But he was the one that like didn't miss a show, a pay-per-view. I mean, he followed my dad around everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been the man. So my dad never thought like I was going to carry the name. I did okay.
I would say okay is an understatement.
You know what they said? They said George Washington didn't want to be the president.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't know my life without it now, but
I don't know how that
no, but
resonates.
it sounded really good.
Well, he was the general. He was the general, and he didn't want to be president, but it just landed on him because of.
I
And
understand.
that's what I was saying about you.
I was gonna say that's an incredible origin story, and you're doing okay, and then some. Like that's so cool.
It's
That's
gotta be
amazing.
special when you reach these heights to have that like with you too, you know, because
Yeah.
talking about with these matches, they are kind of somewhat like predetermined, right? But there's still this moment where your character and you as an athlete wrestler get to a place where like, look, you are a champion or you are headlining this thing. And there are like moments where you can take that in and like appreciate it. So it's always nice to have like, and we always ask people, who are they thinking about when they reach that
My
pinnacle?
brother. I'm going to try to articulate this the right way. My little brother was wrestling, and he actually had failed 2 drug tests to get into WWE. So, I mean, he was really struggling. But I also think he couldn't deal with the pressures of being my dad's son. And I think when he was either wrestling in Japan or on the indies, I don't think he knew how to internalize what the fans would say about him. Like, you're compared to Ric Flair and you're his son.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he could handle that. So when you asked, how do I create this persona, or how do I be the best bad guy? I really do sometimes think about all that pressure on my brother, and I'm like, okay, come on, take on that pressure for him, because he couldn't.
How do you deal with that pressure of being?
I just continue to get better. I feel like I'm protecting him in a way still, even though he's not here. But like, I hate that I couldn't protect him from feeling those insecurities.
Yeah.
So I kind of like take them on into building this. Like, I wish I could be more like my character in my real life.
Yeah.
Like, I think Charlotte's just so, I don't know, like the character is such a badass. Not badass, but like just a bad bitch.
Yeah. No,
Like, yeah, I don't know how to.
I get it. That's some big sister of the year shit right there.